Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's spookiest podcast.
Ooh.
All
How
right.
many more things I can grab?
All right. Welcome, everybody. This is what day are we up to, Jeremy? I forgot.
I believe we are on day number
Four.
7.
Oh,
Day number 7. All right. Day number
Took-
7.
took a shot and missed.
And we are going to discuss. We've done vampires, we've done werewolves, we've done the big boys, but let's get into some of the finer things of Halloween. The thing that we never really think too much about, it's just ever present, it's always there. The
Ghosts.
jack-o'-lantern.
They're always there.
Well, I mean, if they're real. Jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? And let's talk about some, some of our favorites. But at first, they were originally the term jack-o'-lantern was originally used to describe a visual phenomena of ignis fatuus, or foolish fire, also known as will of wisp in English folklore. Now you're asking yourself, what are will of wisp? And I answered that question for you. They are atmospheric ghost lights seen by travelers at night, especially over bogs, swamps, or marshes.
Oh, have
Did
you ever
you
seen
say?
one?
Yeah. Did you say ghosts?
Ghost lights.
Oh,
So basically, like, when people are always like, I saw an alien, and they're like, it was swamp gas. That's what will o' the wisp are. Like, it's swamp gas. Like, it's just atmospheric conditions, the way lights hitting certain things in the air to make it look more ghost-like than it really is. Kind of how fog sometimes takes on a weird tint. Speaking of which, hopefully you enjoyed our episode of Fog a couple days ago. Okay, so the earliest known reference to these particular lights is 1658. And by 1663, the reference had become more to do like Will o' the Wisp, or like the jack-o'-lantern was more to do with like a man with a lantern or a night watchman. It isn't really until 1837 that we get to a reference of it being referring to jack-o'-lantern as carving a turnip or a pumpkin. Because as we have talked about in the past, the first carvings were turnips or rutabagas.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
hard is that?
It's got to be so hard because turnips are not that big.
yeah.
I mean, I saw some pictures of like the rutabaga ones, and like they're big, but they're not as big as a pumpkin. Like it's still small. It's suggested that the name of the jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish legend of Stingy Jack. Have either of you heard of Stingy Jack before?
I have not.
I have.
Oh. So I will be telling one of you some things you don't know, but we're going to talk about Stingy Jack. He's a drunkard who made a deal.
Stingy fella.
Who made a deal with Satan and is doomed to roam the earth with only a hollowed out turnip to light his way.
Classic.
Do you want to know about the deal?
Of course.
Okay, so Jack was known throughout the land to be stingy, hence the term Stingy Jack, but he was also known to be a bit of a manipulator, a deceiver, and good old Satan was like, hey, sounds like a guy I want to know. I got to find this guy. I got to hang out with this guy. And so Satan finds him, believing that his soul was about to be taken. He makes an offer to Satan. He says, Satan, since you're here, let's go to the pub and let me get one last beer. Satan is like, all right, cool. I mean, we'll go and have a beer. So they go and they have several beers. And then
You can't have just one.
no. So, this guy's at the local pub drinking with Satan. I don't know what they're talking about. The legend doesn't talk about that. I don't know if they're like, oh, did you catch that Packer game earlier today? Or
Let's not talk about that.
Oh yeah, Satan had something to do with that game.
So it comes time to pay the bill, and Jack, being stingy, looks over at Satan and goes, "Pay the man." Well, Satan doesn't carry change, doesn't carry money with him. So Jack is like, "Hey, well, you can transform into stuff, right?" And Satan's like, "Well, yeah, I can do cool stuff, yeah." He goes, tell you what, how about you transform into some silver coin? I'll give you to the bartender. And when the bartender puts the coin down, you transfer back into Satan and leave." And Satan's like, "That sounds like a great deal. Great idea." So as soon as he transforms himself into silver coin, Jack takes the coin and puts it in his pocket where there's a crucifix. Now Satan is stuck because apparently the crucifix Satan can't transform back into, so Satan has to bargain with him. And Satan is like, all right, I'll give you 10 years of whatever if you let me out. Satan and Jack's like, all right, 10 years. So he lets him out. Satan disappears for 10 years, comes back after 10 years, and he's like, all right, deal is deal. You're now coming with me. And Jack's like, all right, I'll come with you. But I'm kind of hungry. Grab me that apple up on that apple tree. Satan, I guess being stupid, not the smartest person, goes, all right. I mean, I'm about to take you to hell, and you're gonna live there for eternity, but I'll let you have one more apple.
What's with this guy?
I don't know. So Satan climbs up the apple tree, and when Satan's up there getting the apple, Jack pulls out a bunch of crucifixes and surrounds the tree.
Wow.
Because apparently he didn't see that coming. He had 10 years ago. Like, I guess, he's got a short memory. I don't know. Satan's like, well, now I'm trapped in this tree. You got to let me out. And he's like, no. He's like, all right, promise you'll never collect my soul, and I'll let you free. And Satan's like, okay, you got to let me, I got to be free. I'll never collect your soul. So Jack lets him out. Now, being that Jack is a drunkard and doesn't exactly have the best lifestyle, a few years later, Jack dies, goes up to heaven, gets to the pearly gates, and good old Peter's like, no, like, you're a bad guy. Like, you're widely known as a deceiver and a manipulator. And, I'm sure, tricking Satan probably doesn't help a lot, but he's a drunkard. So he's
Would
like,
that get brownie points, you think?
all right, maybe tricking Satan would get brownie points. I don't know. But they're like, no, you can't come in. You're not getting in here. So Jack goes, all right, and he goes back down. He goes to the gates of hell, and he's like, all right, well, I guess you got to let me in here. And Satan's like, no, a deal's a deal. You can't come in. Here's a turnip with a light in it. Boom. Jack is now doomed to roam the earth holding a carved turnip, which I'm sure at some point has become a pumpkin, just roaming the earth, unable to go to heaven or hell because he tricked the devil.
That's a great story. They should make a movie out of that.
I should have looked to see if they did, but
That's not how it became. He was Jack of the Lantern after that.
Yeah. So
Jack
that is
of the Lantern.
Yep. And then
okay.
Jack o' Lantern.
I see.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So and I'm sure that's what, like, when people saw the ghost lights or the Will o' the Wisp, they were like, oh, that's Jack o' Lantern, or
Jack of the Lantern. Yeah, he's just
right.
Jack o' Lantern.
Right. So the first carvings were, obviously, we've talked about it in the past, turnips or rutabagas. They were used to ward off evil spirits in Ireland, Wales, Scotland. I think this is when we talked about it one of the last times we were talking about, like, just practices of Halloween. Like, eventually it came over to America because of all of the Irish and the Welsh and the Scottish immigrants and other European immigrants that came over. They brought their practices, and we were like, we'll see your rutabaga, and we're gonna raise you a pumpkin because pumpkins are bigger, and as we know, everything is bigger in America. And we're like, and pumpkins are easier to carve. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to carve a rutabaga. This pumpkin over here is pretty easy.
All right, we'll buy some round fruits and vegetables and see what we can carve.
I think that's a good challenge.
Yeah.
And I also wonder,
rutabagas, jicamas, parsnips.
I never saw a reference to jicama. I did see parsnips, although parsnips are basically just carrots, aren't they?
Yeah, they're albino carrots.
Yeah. So it'd be really hard to carve them. And depending on who we involve in the carving challenge, we know who we're going to lose to.
Which that's the judge.
Oh, we get her to be the judge?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if we let her be the contestant, Jamie will destroy us.
Yeah.
That's true. I'll just be happy if I like get to keep all my fingers by the end of it.
All right. So the first reference to being a carved pumpkin doesn't show up until about 1837. So I guess, I mean, really, it's kind of a newer tradition. I mean, Halloween being kind of a newer holiday anyway, as it's become a mishmash of everything. Go back to an episode from a couple years ago. Oddly enough, it was more associated with Thanksgiving at first. And it wasn't like scary faces. It was more just like the face. You can't see it because this is an audio podcast, but when we started, Justin had some just regular plastic jack-o'-lanterns, like the little smiley jack-o'-lantern face that would be on like the McDonald's. Yeah. That was that's more of the standard face that was associated with the original carved pumpkins.
Yeah.
Like the the smiley face with the one tooth or
that's
a smile.
It's a good one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just admiring.
So, it wasn't until about 1866 that Halloween is referenced. Even though as late as 1895, it was still being associated with Thanksgiving. Like I saw some Thanksgiving ads that had like carved pumpkin faces in them. So it wasn't, I mean, it was still at the beginning of the like, oh, we should carve pumpkins. Like they were kind of, I don't know if they knew where to stick it. So they were like Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yeah. There actually, as early as 1842, there were magazine articles being printed on how to carve pumpkins so you didn't lose a finger. The world record for most carved lit pumpkins at one place, or jack-o'-lanterns, is 30,000.
Never mind. I was going to make a game of it.
Oh, no, you guys were never going to get this because this number is ridiculous.
Okay.
30,581.
Oh, wow.
That was in at the New Hampshire Pumpkin Festival in 2013.
Holy shit.
So the history of jack-o'-lanterns was actually way more fascinating and way more interesting than I expected it to be. Because I thought maybe mostly it would be like at some point somebody did it and we just liked it.
Yeah.
There wasn't like this whole this whole like backstory of like I guess like you just think of like carved pumpkins, like, oh, okay, it's just a pumpkin that you carve. Like you don't think about the fact that there's a reason why we call it jack-o'-lantern.
Mm-hmm.
And there's and it goes back pretty far, into the 1600s. So pop culture jack-o'-lanterns. Do we want to just list off some few and then we'll say our favorites, or because this is the more interactive section of the episode?
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you think, Justin?
I mean, sure. You think I did any research on jack-o'-lanterns? Because I did not.
Well, you were told to come up with your top three.
I know.
All right.
Well, I think we should do our list first and then list off just general pop culture, because I'm afraid if we start listing things off, my list will get decimated.
Mine too.
Okay. So, all right. So my number one, the one I think of first, and I think it might be on at least one of your lists, maybe both of your lists, is the opening to 1978's Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is a classic way to start a movie about Halloween. it's just that close up on the pumpkin and the creepy like music, and it's just lit, and it's just it's great. That's my number one.
It's a great one.
Are we,
Okay,
I was saying, are we taking turns? We're going around the table?
sure.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay. Do you want me to go?
sure.
All right. My first one I'll say is the mask from Season of the Witch, the pumpkin
Okay.
head mask,
Yeah.
which is one of three, I believe. And of course, it's created by the sadistic Cochrane, the mask maker, and his plan is to somehow utilize Stonehenge and the power of a witch to make
It's
people turn into bugs.
it's best not to think about the plot of that movie.
No, but there's a great soundtrack. There's some cool stuff going on, and those masks are very iconic.
Yes,
So,
yes, absolutely.
All right. Let me look at my list here that I definitely made, and I'm not just winging this off the top of my head. The I think it's the Grand Pumpkin from The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors was one of the first ones I thought of.
Okay.
Is that what it is, the Grand Pumpkin?
There are so many Treehouse of Horrors, it's hard to remember, but I'm
It's the
guessing.
one when they do like the Charlie Brown
Okay, yeah, that's
and
kind
and it comes after Millhouse
of
and it
okay.
stumbles upon Homer carving the pumpkins.
I'm pretty sure I remember that one.
Yeah, that was one of them I thought of when I was told to remember about pumpkins.
Have either of you ever seen The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, that Disney
Yes.
movie?
oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's an old one. I mean, it's I think it's from 1949, but I definitely saw it when I was a kid. I seem to remember being somewhat terrified by like that scene where like this like the frightening pumpkin, like the headless horseman like whips the flaming pumpkin head and like
Oh,
throws it at the screen. Like when
Yeah.
you're a small kid, like that's kind of terrifying. So that's kind of, I saw that picture and I'm like, I'm not scared of it anymore, obviously, because that was, 40 years ago that I saw that movie for the first time. But I just remember as a child that being kind of like frightening. So that one kind of seared into my brain.
yeah. Nice. Mm, okay, I'll say the dancing guy. I think I said this one time for another thing we did, but the KXVO15 dancing pumpkin news anchor.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
you talked
yeah,
about him. Yeah.
the black leotard and the pumpkin mask as he's dancing in front of a green screen. It's a very iconic. I mean, people have turned it into a meme and all sorts of different images online. So it's an interesting story. I actually read the story behind it. It was just a guy who like had free reign to do like a bunch of segments on the news channel, and like that was one of his. He originally wanted to go into like a real cemetery and dance on graves as that guy.
Probably best he didn't do that.
Yeah,
I imagine
Yeah.
people might get a little upset by that.
I would think so. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's I guess that's my number whatever two.
Number something.
Two, yeah.
Um, the other one I kind of thought of when I was thinking about the ones, if you guys remember when you used to be able to get the cool McNugget figures from McDonald's,
Oh yeah.
and they had the Halloween costumes, and one of them was a pumpkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought about that one. Like I was Googling that the other day, trying to see if I could find an image of it. I think I still have it somewhere.
I
That was
would
what?
I would love to have like some of those old like Halloween like Happy Meal toys back again.
Yeah,
We need to go to that comic book convention. And convention's not the right word, but whatever that one was at the mall that we went to a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
we need to go back to that because I seem to remember them having some of the weirder stuff like that in some of the booths.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
So,
I just saw online someone shared like an old image of the BK. It was the Big Kids meals, and they had the Simpsons toys, the Simpsons Halloween toys in them.
Right.
Those were awesome too. I really enjoyed those.
Did each one come with its own headstone, I think, that
Yeah, I think they
had the little
did.
LED lights in it?
Hmm.
I still have some of those somewhere. I don't remember which ones I have, but I know there I have a couple of those figures somewhere.
Yeah, those tie-ins were so cool.
It makes me wonder what I have in boxes down in the basement that I've never bothered to unpack. I mean, I don't think I have any of that stuff because most of that I would have been too old to be buying Happy Meals when that stuff was coming out or Big Kids meals. I had to get around to the age when where I am now, where I could just be like, I don't care what you think. If I want a Happy Meal, I'm buying a fucking Happy Meal.
Yeah.
My mom worked at the Burger King when we had one here when I was a kid, so I would always get the toys.
Ah, see, you had the
I had the inside man.
you had the hookup. There we
Yep.
go. So, my third one was a bit of a cheat, but of course, I mean it's that's how I do things. Um, the pumpkin from Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I never would have thought I had one. What's the best Ernest? Is it that one?
Scared stupid.
It's Scared Stupid or Goes to Camp. It's one of those two. I
Let's
almost
see.
watched it last night, but by the time I was done doing all the research and everything, that it was like 11:30, and I'm like, if I start this movie, I'm gonna fall asleep. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
but I think this Halloween season I will watch Scared Stupid because I'm pretty sure I bought like the Ernest pack a few years ago. Like I think it's got Scared Stupid, Goes to Camp, and Goes to Jail. Like I think it's like a three pack.
That doesn't save Christmas?
I don't think so, unless it was a four pack, which would have been even better. But I don't because I honestly don't. I mean, it better be streaming somewhere. Like I would hope to be able
It's
to just.
not.
It's not.
Not? Oh my God.
No.
That's a travesty.
It's $3.99 everywhere except for Prime Video. It's $4.29.
You know, there's still
Okay.
people out there that are like, who's Ernest? I mean, it's like, I thought he was a part of everyone's childhood.
Apparently, it was just our childhood. Ernest Saves Christmas. Ernest Saves Christmas is on Disney. Camp is not. Jail is not. For some reason, Ernest in the Army is streaming lots of places. Ernest Rides Again goes to school, all streaming. Slam Dunk Ernest streaming. Goes to Africa, not.
Big shock.
Um, so a lot of the Ernest stuff is streaming, except for the ones that people actually want to watch. Um, Scared Stupid and Goes to Camp and Goes
Yeah.
to Jail. So the three
That's
popular ones.
that's asinine.
It is.
We just sort of changed that org petition to get them back on all these streaming platforms.
Or we should start our own streaming platform just to like air these random weird things that we want to watch.
Yeah.
There's only one thing streaming at a time.
All it is just Ernest this month because that's all we could afford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
all right.
ads for our podcasts in
Yeah.
between.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about that later. So what do you got for your third one?
Well, I guess I'm going to say this is also maybe a cheat because he's not technically a jack-o'-lantern, but it's Lewis from Target this year.
What?
That's the inflatable.
Yeah, so it's like this really popular thing on the internet right now. It's like giant like Target thing, and it says like I'm not a jack-o'-lantern, I'm Lewis.
I'm Googling it.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Lewis from Target. Oh,
I was just at Target today. That's how I knew what you were talking about.
Oh, me too.
Oh, Delavan?
Lewis the Jack-o'-lantern from
Lake
Target.
Geneva?
LG.
Same.
Oh, yeah. Well, how is he not a jack-o'-lantern? It's clearly a jack-o'-lantern.
because he tells you he's not a jack. He doesn't identify as a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, don't call him a
But
jack-o'-lantern.
that
It's not his preferred.
the Lewis from Target, that's the classic jack-o'-lantern face, the very iconic, like kind of, for lack of a better word, cliche, like the smiley one with the triangle eyes and like the two teeth.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one, like you look at it and it's like it screams season, like Halloween. Yeah, like
Absolutely. And 8 foot tall, 8 foot tall. Where the hell are you going to put an 8 foot tall jack-o'-lantern?
well, that's a good question.
Okay,
Yeah.
probably in your yard, I'm guessing, where all the Halloween decorations go.
Yeah. So I mean that's it. I mean it's like he's really caught on. I guess he's really popular on TikTok. I don't use TikTok, but I I'm just trying to stay relevant. So Lewis.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Mister, I definitely have a list, even though I knew for the last 2 weeks that we were going to be talking about this.
I figured I would just be able to wing some pumpkin ideas, which is a lot harder than I thought it would be trying to pull them out of my, you know what. Um,
Say one of these. If
do you
can
think I
even
can read that?
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
from
a
backwards.
I said, what about the one? Is it from Trick or Treat?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is that a
Sam?
pumpkin? Is that a technically a jack-o'-lantern?
I mean,
I would say so.
it's
He's got
on the
face.
it's on the list here.
All right, then I'm pulling that one off of my list. Let me scratch it off.
Okay. So that's your number 3 then?
Yeah, do you think you bought my list?
Yeah, we
Perfect.
nobody saw it. Nobody could see what was happening there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a couple other options, or a couple other things that we have here. We've got, it's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown,
Hmm.
which that one I was debating on because like you never actually see it. Like it's just
Right.
more like it's talked about, but it's definitely like hinted at the fact that it's a big jack-o'-lantern. Sleepy Hollow from '99, the Christopher Walken Johnny Depp one.
Well, yeah.
Um, Halloween 3, what you already talked about that. Return to Oz, not a Halloween movie, but there was the jack-o'-lantern Pumpkinhead thing.
Oh, yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, for people of a certain age, that movie was Trump. There was a bunch of movies, and we should do this as an episode one day. It's going to be a little harder for Jeremy than it is for me and you, Justin. But that mid '80s movies, there were like 4 kids that were nothing but traumatizing, like
Uh,
Return to Oz, Neverending Story, like movies like that. They were just like,
yeah, why are these kids movies?
yeah, why are these kids? Why are you why are you dedicating these movies that are just out to traumatize you?
Yeah.
And they're not Halloween movies. They're not scary. Like that was not. It was just
I
I'm
remember I remember Homeward Bound being traumatizing.
yeah. Homeward Bound was in that. Would be on that list. Um, I'm honestly surprised you didn't bring up Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's on my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Mine too.
You brought up Trick or Treat. Halloween 2018, so the remake. That's the one that Danny McBride had something to
DeVito?
do with, right?
Yeah.
That's not the Rob Zombie one.
2018. No, that's not the Rob Zombie
Okay, yeah.
one.
That's the one where it's like the reverse, like the pumpkin's going from being a rotted thing to like coming back to life.
Oh, yeah.
It's very reminiscent of the original opening of Halloween, but it's kind of then we've got David S. Pumpkins from SNL, the Tom Hanks
Yeah,
thing.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And then we can't not talk about Pumpkinhead,
Pumpkinhead. Oh, yeah.
the movie Pumpkinhead.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
literally a movie about a pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then more for me and Justin, because I know we're into these kinds of shows. You've got Outrageous Pumpkins on the Food Network, the pumpkin carving competition,
Those
and
are so
then
much fun.
Halloween Wars, which has been on since 2011, where they include. And then this year, I don't know if they're gonna have pumpkins involved in it, but this year Amazon is doing a cooking show with Shaggy.
The-
Why am I forgetting it?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Oh,
Shaggy, we're like, I'm like, okay,
singer.
wasn't me.
Blumhouse is doing it. They're producing it. It's called Killer Cakes. It looks like it's a lot more
Cool.
intense. It looks more intense than what Food Network does. Probably because
Awesome.
Food Network tends to stay more family friendly, and this one is definitely not trying to stay
Nice.
family friendly. But yeah,
Cool.
so all right, what you guys got? Anything I failed to bring up, think about?
Let's see
Well,
here.
I'd say, what about Steve from Terrifier?
Steve.
He's the guy who owns the pizzeria that turns into a
Oh,
jack-o'-lantern.
yeah,
Oh.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not getting through an episode without me bringing up Terrifier.
I mean,
Stay tuned for more.
We could probably do another whole episode on just jack-o'-lanterns used in Treehouse of Terror, or Treehouse of Horror. But
Yeah.
I didn't have time to go through all 35 or 36 of those episodes. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much else on mine. I was gonna say general decor. Like I've got this really long, skinny blow mold one that I really like, and the inflatable ones are cool.
okay.
Wasn't
know-
there a big pumpkin in, is it Halloween Town? Like there's
Oh
that big
yeah,
one in the middle
yeah,
of the town.
in that movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I was kind of expecting one or both of you to talk about the pumpkins that you get from McDonald's,
Oh yeah,
the different pumpkin buckets.
The buckets.
I
the
mean,
poop bucket.
honestly, I probably would if I thought about it in yesterday when I was putting my list together and not right now, I probably would have put the classic trick or treat pumpkin plastic blow mold bucket that as a kid, like every kid has at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just your standard, standard issue trick or treat fair bucket.
98 cents now, which used to be like 50-cent bucket.
Yeah. You probably have like 13, 14 of them hanging in the attic somewhere because you just don't feel like going back up there and getting it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Easter baskets. You've got a shit ton of them up there. You just don't want to go up there and get them.
oh yeah.
Just buy another one for $1.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't really think of too much else.
So does anybody have any horror stories of carving pumpkins as a child?
I don't know of any horror stories.
So nobody sliced a finger, had to run to
Nope.
the hospital.
I don't think so.
No. Surprisingly, no, I have not.
No. I mean, I remember definitely carving pumpkins and trying to do like the cool stuff, but never being able to do it right. And always having a picture in my head of it's gonna be so, and then like you're just like, nope. All I did was the same face that everybody else does on their pumpkin, and then you put it out on the porch, and then hope that the big kids in the neighborhood don't smash it.
Yeah.
No smashing pumpkins.
Great band though.
Did you ever try to use one of those templates?
Yeah.
How's that work?
Not well.
No.
No.
No, and when you watch those like outrageous pumpkin shows where they're like got all the Dremel tools and the special knives, and you're like, well, that's why it never turned out right. These guys have like specialty knives and like homemade tools and
Yeah. They have a kit for all their pumpkins.
like Dremels and like all sorts of stuff. And you're like, all I was using was like a dull kitchen knife.
Yeah, I have a butter knife.
Scooping out all the pumpkin guts. Mom would do something with them. Maybe if you were lucky, she would toast the pumpkin seeds and you'd have some pumpkin seeds to eat.
I do like pumpkin seeds. That's the only part of the pumpkin I like.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't get them as much. I should look. I know sometimes you can buy bags of like salted pumpkin seeds. I do like those.
Yeah. We've got a couple pumpkins that we grew that when we carve them up, we'll see what I can do with the seeds.
All right. Well, I guess that is jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh, Funko Pop makes a really cool Venomized Jack-o'-lantern figure.
Okay.
I don't know why I
And
just thought of that one. That one's pretty cool looking. I think
a,
it glows in the dark.
a venomized jack-o'-lantern?
Yes, from
Oh,
Funko.
oh, okay.
I think it's pretty cool looking. I was trying to find some jack-o'-lantern decor, as you've seen me randomly pulling out here.
That is true. That is true. So, all right, well, I guess even though this is spooky season, let's talk about did anybody see anything?
Anything spooky? Yes,
Anything
I
any
watched the Packer game.
Oh, well, all right. Anything spooky, anything like, anything pop culture related in the last week or two that you'd want to talk about?
I've been watching. It's not Halloween Wars, the one with John Henson.
Oh, Halloween Baking.
I've been watching that one.
Yeah, Halloween Baking. They just had the Beetlejuice themed episode.
All right. Is that the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second
Oh,
episode
okay.
yet.
All right. Well, I guess I didn't
You
spoil
didn't
anything.
spoil nothing.
I mean, they have that in the promo of that it's going to be a Beetlejuice themed episode. So, and I think I'm up to two now, so I better be careful and not say it a third time.
Ooh.
But
Classic.
yeah, I watched today a show called High Potential.
All right.
It's a new show with Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny, where she's like some sort of like super genius, where like she like it looks kind of
No,
like
no, nobody's gonna believe that.
it looks like well, Charlie and Dennis won't, but she's like she's one of those like savants that like just sees like I think it's basically like Monk, but instead of Tony Shalhoub, it's Caitlin Olsen.
Mm.
And like she's not afraid to go out in public, so she just like she's just a super genius kind of. I'll watch the first two episodes. It's interesting enough that I'll keep going with it.
Did you watch that English teacher? Is that what it's called on FX?
That
It
one,
it
I
looked interesting, but I didn't watch it to know if it's worth anything.
the first episode had me interested. The second episode turned me off. It's a little much for me. It's not my style. I
Ah,
mean, it might be a great show, but it's not my personal style. I tried to watch Grotesquerie.
I hear trailers for it.
We watched the first episode. It's the Niecy Nash. It's the Ryan Murphy show where like Niecy Nash is a police detective and she teams up with a nun to like solve some sort of Satanist crime. The first episode was very weird. Kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna continue with that show.
Isn't Travis Kelce in it?
That I saw his name in the credits, but I didn't see him anywhere in the episode.
It's
Hmm.
weird.
So
All right.
I imagine he's going to be like just a cameo at some point, but yeah. So how about either Jeremy? You watch anything?
Well, I'll talk really quickly about what I did this past weekend. I actually went to the drive-in to go see it was a 48-hour film festival. So I was out there supporting Wisconsin indie filmmakers. And my friend Derek actually had a short film showing. So we went to go watch his movie along with some other sci-fi horror short films. And it was actually the last opportunity to go see a movie at the Highway 18 drive-in. So it was kind of a sad occasion as well. But I was glad I got to do it. There was some really cool stuff. I mean, I don't know if anyone can ever go check them out online anywhere, but the 48-hour film festival and the whole project is a really cool concept. Like they give you like a genre and like a line I think that has to be included and like some item that has to be included, and then you have a team that gets together and you get 48 hours to make the movie.
Oh,
Oh,
And then and then
like is
we got
there
sorry, go ahead.
was there like a certain length for the short films?
It I think there was a maximum, but it didn't appear that there was a minimum because some of them kind of seemed pretty short, and then others sort of seemed. I mean, they were all sort of they varied, but they didn't seem to go over a certain length. So, but yeah, there was some really cool stuff, some really talented people there, and we got to vote on 3 of them, and then I guess that it goes on to like a ceremony or an awards thing. So it's a cool experience. And
Do you know if they are going to be posting them online for people to watch anywhere? Or
I'll be talking to Derek tonight, so I'll ask him about that if there's ever an opportunity for people to view them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But other than that, I didn't really watch much. I've been keeping up with like my shows. Like I watch Impractical Jokers a lot still. Keep up with new episodes of that. Still the same format, flavor. I mean, um, I don't know, man. Oh, Vice. I still watch Vice stuff. There's more stuff on there. Dark Side of the 90s. I already talked about this last week. So,
Yeah.
or whatever week that was. All right.
Right.
Okay. That's all I got.
Okay.
Are you going to watch that documentary about Vince McMahon on Netflix?
Probably not.
Oh, that seems
Maybe.
like it'd be kind of interesting. Did you watch any of Street Sharks?
No, I did not. When I was editing the episode, I was like, oh, that's right. I was supposed to watch Street Sharks.
I remembered.
And then I went to celebrate my sister-in-law's birthday instead.
That doesn't seem worth missing Street Sharks over.
Well, take it up with her.
It could have been included as part of the celebration.
Yeah.
We'll put it on in the background.
All right. Well,
And then still watching what's that robot one?
oh, BattleBots. Yeah.
BattleBots. I'm still
Oh yeah.
Oh, the floor came back. I do really like the floor.
That's the Rob Lowe one.
Yeah, it's the Rob Lowe one. They increased it from 50 to 100 people. So
Oh,
I think it's going to be a little bit longer. I think what I need to do between now and from what I've heard from kind of some inside baseball stuff is they filmed both season 2 and 3 at the same time. Like they went ahead and just back to backed it and just, recorded 2 seasons right at once. So if it's popular enough and they're going to have a season 4, what I need to do is update my passport and then apply because they filmed that one in Ireland for some reason.
Oh.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go to, I do want to go to Ireland. I mean, that's super high on the list of places to go to in my life. But the idea of like another 2.5-week game show or 2-week game show is just sounds horrifying to me.
Trauma.
The trauma is still very real, even though I'm exactly 1 year out from being down in Atlanta. I want to do another game show. I really do. But I want to do like the fly in on Wednesday, do the game show on Thursday, fly out, Thursday night or Friday,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in a hotel for 2.5 weeks. It was terrible. I mean, it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it and I met a lot of really cool people, and I've gotten a lot of good stories. We got a lot of mileage out of that. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, I'd love another opportunity to go on a game show, but just, I'm going to be way more selective this time. Now that I've done it and I know what I don't know what the process of, because every show is a little different, obviously, but all right, well then, I guess if you're still using turnips instead of pumpkins like a real American, just remember that stupid never walks alone.
Comic books have been around for almost a century, and in the last 2 decades, we've finally gotten to see many of these characters brought to life in movies and on TV. On the Moving Panels podcast, we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. Join me and my guests as we discuss both the good and the bad from Marvel, DC, and even some of the lesser-known comic book companies. Learn what is and isn't from the comics, as well as our nerdy review of the movie or show. New episodes drop every Monday, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So join us for Moving Panels, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-hosts to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.